Hey all, I want to share with you a series of photos that I took on May 10th, 2012. These photos were taken outside of the New York State Education Building in Albany, New York, and I've made other videos with the Education Building in it. The photos are of a film crew setting up for a scene or two or three scenes, I'm not sure, for a movie called Muhammad Ali's Greatest Fight. I think that's what it was called. It was an HBO movie. It came out maybe later in the year, maybe in 2013, I'm not sure. The movie is about Muhammad Ali's refusal to accept his draft notice to potentially go over and fight in the Vietnam War, which was raging at that time. And wasn't too familiar with the movie. I actually haven't seen the movie. I'm showing you some clips of the trailers, but as far as I know, it doesn't really center around a character of Muhammad Ali, but instead the Supreme Court at the time, which was considering the merits of Ali's refusal to accept his draft notice. And I took the photos on my way into work. I'm not sure what day it was, but I used to walk in from a parking garage, and as I was coming up, I had my camera with me, and I saw these old cars, these 1960s sedans and little VW Beetles and even a bus lined up on Washington Avenue. And so when I got to the fifth floor of the Capitol building where I worked at the time, I took my telephoto lens and I snapped a bunch of shots. I was aware of the story about Ali's refusal to go to Vietnam. I have no feeling one way or the other on it. I've never served in the military. I signed up for selective service as a kid, was never drafted. My father did take his draft notice and went over to Vietnam in the I think in 1968 he was over there. So around the time that Ali was going through this. What I didn't know was that Ali had missed like 4 years of professional boxing because of this. And which is impressive because he had to re-win his heavyweight boxing title. He certainly did it with a lot of flair. My memories of Muhammad Ali are from after his retirement. I was born after he retired. But I always had a pretty positive view of Muhammad Ali, and I think listening to this quote right here that he gave gives me a even greater appreciation of the sacrifice and his ability to stand up for what he believed. And so this is something that he said, and I think it was 1967. A lot of us in real life are necessarily willing to put our lives and our futures on the line. I think that it's pretty safe to say that had Ali been drafted, he probably wouldn't end up in combat. A lot of people were drafted in the Cold War that never saw combat. And maybe that's because they were athletes. And but nevertheless, he stuck up. He stood up for what he believed in, and I think that's very valuable. In this day and age, it's very hard to want to take a stand, to expose oneself to the snares and the criticisms of the mob. And I think Ali's standing up and doing it is pretty fascinating and deserving of our respect, of course. Well, not really too much I can say about the filming of this. I remember sitting in this window and watching the crew, and they had brought in these old vehicles. I mean, there's some nice looking things and some that maybe didn't look so nice, but it certainly looked like it could have been a scene outside of the U.S. Supreme Court. And the reason why they used the state education building was because the ed building has these pillars, and I guess if they could get a really tight shot, it could look like they were passing maybe the Supreme Court or some other federal courthouse. But I do remember at one point, one of the vehicles, while they were shooting, broke down. And I could only assume that these vehicles, being so old, they maybe don't always start up so easily. And so it was interesting to see what looked to be one of the extras on the movie helping out to repair a belt or something like that on the car. But they got everything going, and I think by midday they were all packed up, and the scenes for this Muhammad Ali's greatest fight were already shot in Albany. And Albany's a movie town occasionally, nothing big, but it's got some old architecture and some nice places to film. Well, anyways, that's about it. And I think Muhammad Ali is definitely an interesting character, and somebody that even if you don't agree with him, with some of his beliefs, he could definitely be admired for being truly a outspoken man, a very fierce competitor, very smart athlete, and I think a good citizen. Well, anyways, God bless you, and have a great day.